So we're going to start off with, Brian, can I use you now, please? With something called Ko-uchi-gari, right? So it means small inner reap, right? Now this one isn't, we're not going to do any cross grips or anything like that. I'm just going to show you this because I want you to try it out and see how well it really enters into like your knee cut pass, your knee slice pass, and into some positions that follow up right away. So a big part of your mobility is different in Judo and Jiu-jitsu as well, right? So Judo players, you see them come out, they bow, they stand up like this, and they grip and they go, right? Jiu-jitsu, typically you don't take that posture, right? A lot of Jiu-jitsu guys are down here like this, more of a wrestler, athletic stance, right? Part of that's because you're keeping your hips away so that the person can't do a hip throw to you. If his hips are back away from me like this, I have to go through his hands, I have to go through his arms, I have to go through all this before I can get to his hips, right? So, so that's part of the reason why the leg trips work pretty well for Jiu-jitsu. So if I can get gripped up with him and he's in this posture, if I draw him forward, I'm going to make him take a step forward with his right leg. So I pull the arcing motion here, right? And now I'm going to shuffle in a little bit. I'm going to clip right behind his heel. I'm lifting his foot up in the direction that his toes are pointed, right? So the idea behind this, that I'm heavy on this side, on the side that I want him to fall to, right? We've created a like a dead angle here from where his heels, you can draw a line straight across from heel to heel, and then a line straight out like a capital T or an X, right? So back that way is where he's off balance, okay? So right here, heavy, I'm in here close. I'm gonna pick this foot up, and he falls, and it pulls me right into the knee slice pass, right? So depending on where you're gripping, I like to grip on the straight across collar for this, and then I can punch this to the floor. Really hard for him to pummel in for an underhook right now, right? And I can slide into my position here, right? So then we'll follow up with whatever, right? So in Jiu-Jitsu, it's quite possible you're going to get your takedown points and a guard pass point on that too, because you just kind of pass the guy's guard. So I think that's going to vary from competition to competition. So standard grip, he's here, I'm going to pull him, make him take a little bit of a step forward. The wider his base is, the better this works, right? So if his feet are closer together, and I try to clip this foot, one, it might be heavy. Two, if it's not heavy, that means he transferred weight to the other leg, which means I'm not going to pick him up, right? So if this foot is way forward here, then he doesn't have time to transfer weight to that back leg. So now he falls, right? And then I can scoop in, I can punch this to the floor. I don't advise going for regular kesa off of this, because if he slips his head out, which is really common, now he's got my back, right? So I do advise pummeling for underhook right away off of that, or go for side control or something like that instead, right? Who needs to see that again?
Full speed. It's full speed.
Normal pace, normal pace.
Oh, normal speed. So we're here, right? I pull. We're here in position. Right? Yeah, so you can also do this. I'm doing it with the practice of just having him spread out, but you can get your timing really well to where if the opponent is stepping forward here, right? So you can catch it before his foot hits. Okay, that's kind of the common practice with in Judo. For Jiu-Jitsu, they're more here.
If you step forward,
Here.
right, are you stepping up to step?
Yeah, so, I'm closing the distance too, so when I pull him in, I don't stay back here, I come in and clip, okay?
Yeah, so that's the problem that I see, sir. A lot of guys in Jiu-Jitsu, they have this stance, so it's not as easy to do it, on the floor. You have to really make that pull, and they keep their hip far, so when they go, it's kind of like half the time they don't get it.
Yeah, I
So
think
when you kind of get that hip moving forward, you add power to your
you
leg.
can't reach for things, right? So you have to bring them to you, and you have to close that distance, you have to get in there really good.
About this technique right here. What's the name of this technique here? Let's see, step right there. This one right here.
We call that Ko-soto-maki-komi, right?
There's no Ko-uchi-gari, but just
So there's
on the side.
a sambo version of that we do with a slightly different grip. We'll pull that forward, come in, and roll through Catch your leg. Oh,
That's sambo. That's illegal. I'm just kidding.
I see.
Nah, that's all good. Let's not complicate, guys. Let's go for the. What you got, Marcos? Come on, Marcos.
I wanted to match the stuff right here. My friend.
Do you want to just have them lining up and doing that drill?
yeah, that would be great.
Does anybody need to see the footwork one more time before you do the beginners? So I guess what basically we'd like to see, sir, from my own perspective as an instructor, how is the footwork, the grip and the footwork? Do you push forward before you pull back, or you just pull back right away?
Typically, you don't want to chase your opponent, right? So there are some drills that we do sometimes where I'll come in for Ko-uchi and he does a normal defense, which is to step over and back, and then come in for an O-uchi, he steps over and back. Right, so this is a normal drill, but I don't really advise that in actual action, right? When you're chasing after your opponent, your weight is transferring forward. If he changes the angle, he's dumping me, right? We'll go into Uchi-mata off that too sometimes. So for this case, you know, we're dealing with more of this posture, more the jiu-jitsu style posture. So, and the grips, typically people will give you the grips, right? Judo, they'll grip fight with you more, right? So that's a tell, you know, if you got somebody who's really grip fighting with you, probably have a little bit of judo background, right? Jiu-jitsu, typically, people are pretty accepting on at least this grip here, right? So at least that's been my experience, right? So from here, right, if his right leg is back, I'm gonna pull him forward in an arcing motion. My right foot stays forward, okay? So in this case, I'm already pretty deep. I just kind of shuffle in a little bit and clip, right? If his foot is already forward, but not wide enough, I'm still gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna make him take that step. So I'm not pulling down or straight out. It's an arcing, kind of arcing up and over motion that makes his foot light and makes him do one of these little lunge sweeps.
Pull like this, guys.
Yeah.
Elbow up.
Like you're looking at your watch on your wrist, up and back, right? Once he's here, right, the bottom of my foot, I turn my foot kind of sideways here, and I'm lifting. So that's what makes this, there's sweeps and reaps, right? So a sweep is more of a sliding type thing. A reap is a hook. So I'm kind of hooking upward.
You kind of lift the guy's foot
Lifting
up.
his foot up in the direction that his toes are pointed. So not this way. Yes, sir.
Are you always gonna go towards the lapel side? When he has your lapel, you're gonna go to that side every time, or?
For this, yeah, because I'm a right-handed grip. So this is a right-handed attack. So I'm gonna attack with my right foot versus his right foot in this particular case, right? So if we're left-handed grip, then that's gonna change. I'm gonna go this way. But typically, yeah, and the pull's gonna be that way. Yep, yep. So we're here, once I'm in here close, I'm scooping that foot up, and then as he falls, he's holding on to you, you're holding on to him, you're gonna feel yourself lunge, right? When I first learned this throw, I thought that was not proper. I felt out of control. And then after learning it better, I realized, oh, that's pulling me into the position I'm supposed to be in, right? So as he falls, you're gonna feel this pull here, right? And you're gonna kind of take a lunging step forward with your left. That just means you passed his guard, right? That means you did what you were supposed to do, right? So here, slide in, get your underhook. When you come into this kuzure-kesa-gatame position, I always advise people, have your head forward, right? If I slide in and lean back, he sits up. Oh man, I just did a bunch of cool stuff to get pinned, right? So, does that make sense to everybody? Okay, all right, so my other advice is watch out in your space, you know, a little bit different when we're falling versus grappling. So make sure you're not falling on any of your neighbors. Okay?
All right, guys, let's practice.